Welcome, board members and manager, this is the August 23rd, 2021 regular board meeting for the Board of Water Supply. My name is Board Chair Brian Andaya, and I'd like to take a moment to take a roll call of the board members who are joining us by WebEx. When I call your name, please say aye. Vice Chair Kapuas-Bro.
Aye.
Board Member Naalehu Anthony.
Aye.
Board Member Jade Butai.
President, my video is not working for some reason. So.
Okay. Board Member Butai's presence is noted. Remaining board members are not available for this meeting, but we do have quorum with those present. Members who are calling in or video conferencing in, please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. If you have a question or you want to enter a motion or second a motion or make a comment, please unmute your microphone and identify yourself before continuing to speak. Also in the room with us are Manager Ernie Lau and Board Secretary Joy Cruz Achiu. Via telephone conference or WebEx are from our City and County Corporation Council Department, Jeff Lau and Jessica Wong. All right, due to the emergency proclamations that are in effect, we have limited the number of individuals here in the boardrooms. Of course, there are members participating from remote locations via WebEx. All right, testimony. Testimony for today was being accepted by written testimony to our email board@hbws.org or fax to 808-748-5079. Our testimony was due by noon today, Monday, August 23rd. It will be posted also to the BWS website at boardofwatersupply.com. We also accepted some testimony by mail to our street address 630 South Baratania Street, Honolulu, Hawaii 96843. Again, testimony was due today by noon. Online testimony was also available at boardofwatersupply.com/testimony. Finally, during this meeting, you can call in as telephone testimony is being accepted. The number to call is 808-748-6040. Again, it's 808-748-6040. Callers will be placed in a queue and brought up to testify one at a time, and further instructions will be given should anyone call in to testify. Unfortunately, we are unable to accept in-person testimony because of the pandemic. All right, materials available for this meeting per HRS section 92-7.5, they are accessible at www.boardofwatersupply.com/boardmeetings. If you would like to review the meeting today via live streaming, you can do so at our website, www.boardofwatersupply.com/live. Video will appear on your screen, and you may have to click the arrow on video to start it. Today, on our regular agenda, we have 4 items requiring board action. Item number 1 is for the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held last month on July 26, 2021. I hope you've all had a chance to review them. May I have a motion to accept?
I so move.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sproul. Is there a second?
Second, Jade.
All right, thank you, Member Butai, for seconding the motion. Are there any questions or discussions or proposed amendments to the minutes of July 26? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. All right, motion passes unanimously. Minutes of July 26 are approved. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, or the next three items on our agenda, honor outstanding employees or team members of our agency. First up, and item number 2 on the agenda, is the adoption of resolution number 928, 2021. And this goes to Ms. Raylene Nakabayashi, who is named 2021 Manager of the Year for the Board of Water Supply. She is in the executive support. She is the executive support officer with the Office of the Manager and Chief Engineer. I think we all know her members. She does excellent presentations, very business, minded, very business savvy. Presentations are clear and always prepared. Very well deserving of this honor. Is there any let's see here. Is there a motion to accept?
I so move.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sproat. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chair, this is Na'alahu.
Mahalo, Nalehu, for seconding the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the adoption of resolution number 928, 2021, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. All right, the motion unanimously passes. Congratulations to Ms. Raylene Nakabayashi, who I believe is here with us today. Congratulations, you've been named 2021 Manager of the Year, well deserved.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Right here.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Chair.
And then we're behind you. It's your spots. Yeah, I ask you just to take it off just very briefly so I can take one picture and then we put it back on.
Okay, sorry.
I lied. 2 pictures.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations, great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Chair, would you let me to read the resolution then?
Oh, yes, please, yes.
Oh, Ray, you can come closer or stand right, or right by the exits maybe, so I think the camera can see you. Raylene Nakabayashi, 2021 Manager of the Year for the Honolulu Board of Water Supply. Whereas Raylene Nakabayashi, Executive Support Officer who oversees the Executive Support Office, has been selected as the Board of Water Supply Manager of the Year for 2021. And whereas since joining BWS in August 2019, Ms. Nakabayashi has managed and enhanced ESL's management and budget and procurement, risk management, emergency preparedness, and security services to improve departmental operations and better safeguard employees who provide safe, dependable, and affordable water to all Oahu residents. And whereas Raylene's excellent leadership and knowledge of BWS operations, cheerful, can-do attitude, willingness to put in long hours, and commitment to quality has enabled her to work with management and staff to effectively respond to city emergencies, resolve BWS issues, and fulfill organizational goals and improve efficiencies to the benefit of BWS water ratepayers. And whereas when COVID-19 struck, Ms. Nakabayashi quickly and tirelessly worked to reduce impacts on BWS workforce, budget, and customer service. She helped BWS successfully initiate a telework program, reduce costs by 5% without adversely affecting BWS operations and ability to meet Oahu's water demand, develop fiscal austerity measures to save up to $14 million in FY21, and obtain $915,600 in CARES Act funds to establish infection prevention measures, workplace controls, and safety improvements in the lobby to protect employees and the visiting public. I'll pause and take a break because it's hard to talk with a mask on. Okay. Whereas Ray has proven herself to be a dedicated, diligent, and compassionate manager who leads by example, maintains a well-functioning work environment for the ESO staff, and constantly provides them with professional growth opportunities. And whereas Ray's selection as the 2021 Board of Water Supply Manager of the Year and her nomination to the City Manager of the Year recognition ceremony has brought pride and honor to the BWS and all her family and friends now. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the members of the Board of Water Supply, City and County of Honolulu, that we do hereby express to Raylyn Nakabayashi our heartfelt appreciation for her outstanding service to the department and to the City and County of Honolulu. And be it further resolved that the members of this board express their sincere congratulations upon her selection to the Board of Water Supply Manager of the Year for 2021. Be it resolved that this resolution be presented to Raylyn with our warmest aloha and best wishes for all her future endeavors. Congratulations, Ray.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Chair, if you could indulge me for a moment, when the pandemic hit last March, it was uncharted territory for Board of Water Supply. We've never, and like everybody else in the world, at least for 100 years, haven't been in this situation. And I must say, if it wasn't for Ray and also Michelle Thomas of the Human Resources Office, they instantly jumped to put their shoulder to the wheel, worked long hours for months and months, trying to develop policies and strategies to protect our workforce, to keep our employees safe from COVID-19. Because Board of Water Supply, we cannot deliver the safe drinking water to our community that they so need, and especially during a pandemic, without a workforce. So thank you, Ray, for all your efforts. She, even with our safety officer, developed a COVID safety plan, which is, I think, one of the first plans developed for a city department in the City and County of Honolulu. And she continues to do whatever is necessary to get the job done. So really appreciate it, Ray. Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, well deserved.
Chair, may I say a few words too? I'm sorry, I missed the discussion. I was too slow.
Go ahead.
But Ray, I just wanted to extend my congratulations and my gratitude. No matter what you work on, whether it's budget issues or lawsuits or, from very little things to very big things, we greatly appreciate your professionalism, your hard work, and your aloha. And so I just wanted to say mahalo on behalf of myself, and that I'm very grateful for all that you do for us.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure to work here. Thank you so much. I'm so surprised, still surprised. So thank you.
Congratulations.
All deserved.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations again to Ms. Raylyn Nakabayashi, 2021 Manager of the Year. All right, we have yet another outstanding member team member of BWS. This is the adoption. This is item number 3 in our agenda. This is the adoption of resolution number 929/2021, Sherilyn Lee, 2021 Employee of the Year. Ms. Lee is a water microbiologist 3 in the Water Quality Division. Members, may I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
Chair, I so move.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pro. Is there a second?
Jade, I second.
All right. Is there any? Thank you very much, Member Butai. Is there any discussion, or you can wait till after the picture taking to offer comments? Okay, hearing no discussion at this time, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of resolution number 929, 2021, naming Sherilyn Lee as one of our 2021 Employees of the Year, say aye.
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 All right. Any who oppose, please say nay. Okay, let the record reflect. The resolution has been adopted unanimously. I'd like now to invite Ms. Sherilyn Lee, 2021 Employee of the Year, to please join us in the boardroom. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Take our pictures.
Thank you for your service. Good.
Okay, very quickly, take off the mask. Just for a moment. Take a shot. Close up. And up.
Thanks, Wayne. Okay, Sharon, you can just stay right there.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Manager Lau, would you like to read, or would you like me to take this one?
That would be great, Chair.
Okay. All right. This is definitely a very well-deserved honor. Congratulations. And so just from our board, we have a resolution prepared, which you have the original. And it says, Sherilyn Lee, Water Microbiologist 3 with the Water Quality Division, has been a dedicated and exceptional employee since joining the Board of Water Supply on March 17, 2024, and has been selected as the department's 2021 Employee of the Year. And whereas Ms. Lee's assiduous work ethic and commitment to quality enables her to deliver precise and accurate data and avoid inconsistent results that could lead to major violations. And whereas Ms. Lee's commitment and outstanding efforts played an important role in the implementation of a pilot program to install sampling stations in the Kahuku, Waialae, and Waialua areas that will lead to more efficient and accurate sampling in other areas of the island. And whereas Ms. Lee is well respected by her colleagues and is always willing to take time out of her busy schedule to provide assistance and guidance to ensure employees are getting the attention they need to be successful in their career. And whereas Ms. Lee has been meticulously working on a method to identify, I cannot even pronounce it, a bacteria found in drinking water to help protect the public and the safety of our drinking water. Prior to this, the lab did not have a method to identify and test for this bacteria. Whereas to improve her professional skills, Ms. Lee has successfully completed and passed the annual water study proficiency test to help maintain the lab's certification with the State of Hawaii Department of Health, and through endless hours of studying was able to obtain her Distribution System Operator 4 license. Congratulations. And whereas Ms. Lee's kindness, knowledge, and cordiality goes a long way when dealing with customers concerned about their water quality. And be it resolved, therefore, by the members of the Board of Water Supply, City and County of Honolulu, that we do hereby express Sherilyn Lee our sincere appreciation for your outstanding service to the department and to the City and County of Honolulu. Be it further resolved that the members of this board express to Sherilyn Lee our sincere congratulations upon her selection as the Board of Water Supply Employee of the Year for 2021. And finally, be it resolved that this resolution presented to Ms. Lee with our heartfelt aloha and best wishes for success in all her future endeavors. Thank you very much. Congratulations again.
Oh, wait, hold on. Chair, could I say a few words?
Absolutely.
When it comes to water quality, precision and accuracy and good quality control are essential to keeping our water safe. And Sherry's commitment to that is without limit. And I really on behalf of our customers, also express our appreciation for testing to make sure our water is safe. And Sherry, could you explain what Pseudomonas is?
Yeah. What is that?
So it's a bacteria right now that it's mostly found in biofilm, but it can be linked to total coliform and E. coli. So it's another bacteria that can be used as an indicator of possible presence of TC and E. coli. So it's the very beginning stages of it, but I anticipate in future as we continue to explore possibly even surface water, it'll really help us out.
Well, thank you for having that vision to look ahead and get prepared for that. Thank you, Sherry.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if I can just share again, I just wanted to mahalo you, Sherilyn, for all of your hard work and your attention to detail. I mean, as Ernie has already noted, water quality is absolutely vital in so many levels. But really, as the Board of Water Supply, we can't fulfill our mission of providing safe, affordable, and dependable water now into the future without your efforts. And so thank you for making it all possible. Mahalo.
Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that.
Mahalo.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations again to Sherilyn, the 2021 Employee of the Year. Moving on to item number 4. We have another award, well-deserving award. This is adoption of resolution number 930, 2021. And this goes to no other than our very own Arthur Ayu, 2021 Employee of the Year. He is a community relations specialist too in the communications office, but even more than that, he's really has the heart and soul of the department. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 930, 2021?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Moved by Board Member Nalehu.
And I second. This is cool.
Thank you. Second by Vice Chair Sprode. Is there any discussion at this time?
Maybe just a comment, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
You know, just for a little bit of background, when my name first came up for a board seat, almost everyone wanted to know what a filmmaker or a photographer wanted to do on the Board of Water Supply. And my answer was always that that actually right out of high school, I had an opportunity to intern and then be kind of a regular part-time employee at the Board of Water Supply as in the communications department as I was going to college. And Mr. Ayu was always my supervisor. And so I'm so delighted that he's the Employee of the Year this year, and that that I can just embellish for just a couple of seconds about just what a great individual he is as a human, as a Hawaiian, but certainly as somebody who does embody the spirit and the work ethic and the way in which we need to be as a community in order to move forward together. So just want to wish my best wishes to Arthur, and thank you so much for your service.
Well, thank you for your comments, Board Member Anthony. I learned something about yourself too, and it's nice that you've kind of come full circle as a team member here and now part of our board.
Wow.
All right, I think we didn't vote
Chair?
yet.
Chair,
yeah.
may I make a comment now? Just
Sure.
to add on to what Chair Anthony has already said. One of my fondest memories at the BWS is going on.
Bring Arthur into the room.
Oh, let's bring Arthur in so he can hear all of these kind comments that you have.
Okay.
Step in.
Oh wait.
Go ahead. Go ahead. What's your show?
Okay, I'll just say one of my fondest memories of my time at the BWS, and this is my second term now, is going on a site visit to Halawa Shaft with Arthur and with and exactly as Board Member Anthony said, I felt like Arthur he was just the embodiment of aloha. So generous and good fun, but incredibly knowledgeable. And I have a pretty significant background in water, and yet I learned so much that day from being with Arthur. And so I just wanted to mahalo him, and I feel like my experience was emblematic of what so many people in our community get to experience with him on our team. And so I just wanted to extend my heartfelt congratulations and aloha and thank him for all that he's done for our community. Mahalo.
Thank you, members, for your kind comments. Let's make it official. All those in favor of adopting resolution number 930-2021, say aye.
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 All those, any opposed, say nay. All right, well, unanimously passes, naming Arthur Ayu 2021 Employee of the Year. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Very well deserved.
New spots? Okay, want to briefly with the mascot? Okay, ready? And what come on? Thank you very much.
Lane.
Okay, you can just stand right over here. I'm going to read your resolution into the record. All right, so with the passage of the resolution, we will read it into the record so that Arthur can hear all the great things, very well deserved. My favorite story is Art took us to on a tour of one of our properties, and I will say, to echo Vice Chair and Member Anthony's thoughts, there was so much aloha, and you could just really feel the spirit, the mana that was present, from Art's chanting and just incredible knowledge of the aina and the water. And even more than that, it's really that spirit that he was able to capture, which till today, my friends and I and our children who went on the tour still talk about it, even though it was years ago. And we can't wait to go on another tour with her. Anyway, I'll read the resolution. Whereas Arthur Ayu, a community relations specialist who, with the communications office, has been a dedicated and exceptional employee since joining the Board of Water Supply in 1992 and was selected as this year's Employee of the Year. And whereas Mr. Ayu effectively facilitates numerous educational and outreach programs that includes facilities tours, special events, and speaking engagements that enrich the public about the value of preserving and perpetuating our limited freshwater supplies now and into the future. Whereas Mr. Ayu successfully re-engineered the BWS's educational outreach programs into digital format to meet restrictions during the pandemic and was thus able to keep these important public service opportunities ongoing for teachers, keiki, and other community groups. Whereas Mr. Ayu provided the framework for the overarching communications plan that elegantly ties it to the BWS's Water Master Plan, incorporating the key concepts of sustain, capture, treat, move, store, and deliver. And whereas Mr. Ayu works tirelessly and resourcefully to create a positive workplace and provides a sense of place by incorporating the Hawaiian culture in all that he does at the BWS. And whereas Arthur Ayu was selected as a 2021 Board of Water Supply Employee of the Year and will go on to represent BWS in the upcoming City Employee of the Year recognition ceremony, bringing pride and honor to the department, his family, his friends, and now therefore be it resolved by the members of the Board of Water Supply, City and County of Honolulu, that we do hereby express to Arthur Ayu our sincere appreciation for his outstanding service to the department and to the city. Be it further resolved that the members of this board express to Arthur Ayu our sincere congratulations upon his selection as the Board of Water Supply Employee of the Year for 2021. And finally, be it resolved that this resolution be presented to Mr. Ayu with our heartfelt aloha and best wishes for success in all his future endeavors. Please join me in congratulating Mr. Ayu.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for the wonderful comments. I did hear you, Board Member Anthony, outside the door, so thank you. It was a wonderful time back then, and I'm so glad to have been a part of your growing foundation and where you are today. So thank you.
Thank you, Arthur.
Hallelujah, Arthur.
Chair.
The Chair, if I could say just a few words about Arthur. Sorry. Arthur, I've been back now almost 10 years at the Board of Water Supply, and I just want to say it's been a real honor working with you again, and having this privilege to be able to work with you. And there was a special moment recently when we took a group into Waihee Tunnel. If you haven't been in there, you know, Arthur will have us turn off our lights and he'll do an oli. And I noticed on the way out, as we were walking out of Waihee Tunnel, and this is in the mountain, that there was like this mist or fog. But it was the first time I've been in there many times that I've actually seen that mist or fog. And little droplets of water on the pipe, like little gems. And it's a lot of, I'm not Hawaiian, but you know, you could feel the mana, the spirit of the place. And Arthur, you embody the spirit and the heart of the Board of Water Supply. Just thank you for reminding us every day that we need of what we do and how important it is. Mahalo for your dedication, Arthur.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Well deserved.
Thank you, Usher.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining me or joining the board in celebrating some very special team members we have here at our agency. Before we move on to the items for information, I'd like for the record, Mr. Steven Nordstrom, was there anyone who called in for testimony today?
No testimony to report, sir. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr.
You're
Nordstrom.
welcome.
Let the record reflect. All right, so we've got a few items for information here. Item number one is our revisions to the fiscal year 2020-2021 Capital Improvement Program. Chair recognizes Ms. Raylene Nakabayashi.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. So I'm presenting the revisions to prior fiscal year 21 CIP program budget. Joy, can we move to my PowerPoint? The letter has all of the revisions, but the PowerPoint more clearly summarizes all of it. So this is, next slide, please. So in 2020, Resolution 910 was our annual budget, which was adopted by the board in our May 2020 meeting on May 26, 2020. It appropriated $170 million for our CIP budget. And like all budget resolutions, it did have the be it further resolved statements that say that at the discretion of the manager, he shall have the authority to adjust the method of funding in the CIP, provided that the total consolidated appropriation remains the same. So next slide, please. That brings us to budget amendment number 1, where we came before you again in September, I believe, because we needed to amend the budget the change would not keep the total appropriation the same. So this was the resolution that we brought before the board last year. It increased funding for the project shown on the screen. So Lani Kai, Kalawahine, Manana Yard expansion for a lab and a control center. It removed the funding for haiku stairs because just prior to the adoption of our budget, the city took haiku stairs. And it did increase the construction cost index and the contract adjustments account as well. So the next slide, please. What the board adopted in September 2020 was a new amended CIP at appropriated value of $201 million. And it retained that same language to say that the manager could adjust the method of funding provided that the total CIP appropriation remains the same. So next slide, please. So all there were 3 subsequent, what we call like memo budget amendments, in which the amounts per line item were changed, but the bottom line total of the budget remained the same. And all budget amendments numbers 2 through 4 were reducing funding and deleting and deferring projects listed in the 21 CIP to provide additional funding to the contract adjustments account. And the contract adjustments account is used to provide additional funding for other CIP projects and to provide funding for contract change orders to previously awarded contracts. So the deferral and reprogramming of those projects through the fiscal year enabled the department to award several projects in fiscal year 21 CIP without causing any delays to the overall CIP construction schedule. Next slide, please. So if you recall, last month, Jason did a presentation to the board, Jason Takaki did a presentation to the board about the CIP status for the 4th quarter of fiscal year 21. So this kind of ties back into how, if you look at the black bar, which is fiscal year 21, how the cumulative budget execution can be over 100%. I think it was at 117% last year. So to award those projects, monies had to be moved, projects deferred, while keeping the bottom line total of the budget the same. So next slide, please. So this is a summary of what is contained in the full text of the letter to the board. But these were the amendments made to Resolution 915-2020, which appropriated $201 million, and we remained at $201,587,500 by the end of the year. But these are the projects or the funding that was transferred to the contract adjustments account so that we could continue to award contracts and continue to process change orders on previously awarded contracts. That's all I have. If the board has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer any of them.
Members, any questions? So, Raylin, I was looking at the report and all of the different items, specifically budget amendment number 2.
Joy, can you go back one slide?
So there are numerous projects that I guess either will be deferred or canceled. Are any of these, important, meaning are any of these, are we sacrificing any, changing, deferring or canceling these projects?
So I think Jason or the other division heads can correct me if I'm wrong, but most of these are deferrals. So a lot of them are line items for like various projects, like line item number 1. So construction management for various. So it was just that there was not a need for that level of funding in that fiscal year 21. So we were able to move that to contract adjustments account. Pipeline condition assessment was a project that is being deferred to a future year. I think Waihe'e line booster as well being deferred to a future year. And it's not because we had to sacrifice or give up doing that project for the sake of something else. It was timing. So these projects were not ready to go. And so they're being deferred to a future year. I believe there was 1 or 2 projects in this list where, or at least one, where the city is funding it. So we don't need the funding at all. They were going to take care of, I think it might have been the non-potable irrigation. I don't know if Barry or Mark are on, but yeah, so it's a lot of deferrals of projects based on timing, especially at Amendment 2. That either we were not ready to pursue or we pursued all that we needed to pursue this year, and that was the balance of the funding.
Okay, all right. So it sounds like a lot of it is just timing and just going to be deferred, and we'll get to it
In a different time frame.
in a different year.
Yep,
Okay.
in a different time frame.
Okay, and then last question I actually wanted to ask about budget amendment number 1, specifically the Lanikai water system improvements. So this looks like it was added on later. What is, and then I have read about this in the news. Was this necessitated by a water main break or?
Well, part of the original purpose of the project is a part of the water system that broke very frequently, and relatively young pipe in some locations. Some of the pipe was really old actually, also. But the timing of this one was moved up because the city was doing a major street improvement, creating a new roundabout.
I see.
And I believe we wanted to get our project done before the city started their work. So if not, we would have to wait for a number of years after they completed their work for the project to proceed.
I see.
But it does pose a challenge in terms of access and traffic issues, which we continue to work very closely with the community that live out there and try to mitigate it to the extent possible.
Okay. All right. Okay, very good. Members, any questions?
Chair, Jade,
Go ahead, Jade.
if money was not an object, what would be because when we looked at our highway system, we identified about $1 billion funding gap between needs and resources. So we've been prioritizing, focusing on safety and system preservation. If, like I said, if money was not an object, what do you guys have such calculation?
If money was not an object, you mean would we defer or move funds around like this if money wasn't?
Yeah. If you could do all the projects, what would be your funding gap between what resources you have and what you would?
Ray, what was the total adjustment was for FY21 that we had to shuffle money around from projects?
The total. Well, we kept the amount the same at 201 million. We increased it with budget amendment 1 by 30 million.
Okay. Yeah, budget amendment number one is to reprogram some projects into the FY21 already approved FY21 budget. But the other thing that we encountered, Jade, because we have to work within the total amount that was available. Because when Ray puts together the operating budget and the CIP, she looks at the total revenue coming in for the year and our different sources of funding. If we have to issue revenue bonds or go for SRF loans, how we can make everything fit within the available revenue that we have for the year and what we've carried over from previous years. On this one, what we encountered last fiscal year was, I think what others have seen as a result of the pandemic is that we found that certain prices for different materials or equipment that the contractors were encountering putting together their bids to respond to our construction solicitation especially came in much higher than we anticipated, than we had estimated prior to that. And the estimates were prepared prior to the ascertaining the impacts of the pandemic. So then we saw some of that going on. But if we had additional funds somehow from other sources, like federal stimulus funds, then that would have still would have had to require a amendment to the CIP budget to add those funds into the budget and increase the total amount for the CIP that's authorized. But it was really difficult to ascertain the impact of cost increases due to the pandemic until we actually bid out, I think, over 50 projects in the last fourth quarter of the fiscal year. And by then, it would have been too late if we had access to the federal stimulus funds, to actually do a budget amendment, go through the public hearing process. So the resolution gives us that flexibility. But Jade, I guess if we had the ability to do all these projects, we would have done all the projects. But trying to operate within what we can afford, what we have within our means, we had to make some choices on pushing back the implementation dates in some of the projects.
I think if I may, and then Jason guys could correct me, but they're on target for their lane miles to be of pipeline to be designed and replaced annually, because it was a gradual scale up right to 21. So they're still on target, because the scale up to 21 not only requires the CIP funding, but it requires a growth on the operating side. We need more engineers, more planners, more staff to get there to 21. So I think we, if there was a gap, I don't think there is necessarily a funding shortfall, because even if there were the money to do 21 miles now, we're still ramping up on the staff side.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I brought it up is, because sometimes, like for our highways, we're sometimes plagued with, elected officials making promises about projects we can do, without considering the overall cost. and our ability to deliver given the, the impacts to the environment and, and things that are beyond our control. I mean, we cannot tell other agencies how to, whether to,
That's very true.
and then also the available funding. I mean, so, the overall meaning, but, but sometimes they, it could be just another promise that may not come to fruition.
That's very true, Jade. Issues of permits that are handled by outside agencies or entities, and we don't control the timing. There are some permits that take a particularly long time to get, or approvals to get. I can think of a couple right now. The cost escalation that was due to the pandemic, it was something that until we started to actually receive the bids and open the bids, we realized that some projects really came in much higher than we had originally estimated would be the cost of the project. But yeah, fortunately, and I appreciate the board's provision within the resolution, does give us the flexibility to actually try to get as many of the critical projects that are ready to go moving each year.
Do you guys have any estimate on how much of our, water main is affected by sea level rise?
I think we have an estimate that we developed while working with the Water Research Foundation. I forgot the exact numbers. I'll have to get back to you on the exact numbers. It wasn't 100 miles. I think it was probably less than 50 miles, but we can get back to you with the exact number from our Research Foundation project from sea level rise. And I think that was taking it to about 3.5 feet of rise or so, not to 6 feet. A lot of those pipelines are actually on the coastal highways that you're responsible for, Jade, under the Department of Transportation. So we're really willing to work with the state DOT when the decisions are made on either elevate, armor the roadways, or do the planned retreat more inland to higher elevations, which we know we'll have to move our major transmission mains at the same time. So we just look forward to continuing collaboration and discussion with you folks on that.
Yeah, I think our estimate is about $15 billion if we were to relocate those coastal highways.
It is going to be super expensive, and acquisition of the properties to do that, the rights of way will be very challenging and take a long time. We do have some pipelines, major transmission mains on the windward side, or like a 30-inch on Cam Highway out in the Honolulu area, all the way into Ka'awa. That's right on the coastal highway, and we know the pipe is suffering corrosion. And that's why some locations we've had frequent failures. So we are looking at different alternatives. How can we extend the life of the pipeline? But then it's like, do you want to invest tens of millions of dollars in a pipeline or in a location that might get moved or have to be completely redesigned if you decide to elevate the highway or armor it? So it is going to be a collaborative effort together with you folks.
Yeah, I think five of the top 10, is on that Kamehameha Highway for us that needs to be relocated.
I know your deputy director mentioned you did a statewide assessment, and some of the higher priority ones are right there in Windward, Oahu.
Thank you, Ernie.
Thank you, Jade.
Okay, members, any more questions? All right, Hearing none, I'd like to thank Ms. Nakabayashi for the report. Excellent as always.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 2, items for information. This is the update on the Board of Water Supply board meeting protocols under elevated COVID-19 conditions. And this item I had asked to be put on today's agenda. I know that between our last meeting and this meeting, unfortunately, due to the elevated, no, not just elevated, but astronomical, case counts, we decided to take some action and therefore limit the number of people in the boardroom or whatnot. I definitely wanted to put it back on the table and give all of the board members, and maybe we may have to table this given that we're missing a few members. But I just wanted to have some feedback from the members. Yes.
Chair, could we start by ask my deputy, Ellen Kitamura?
Yeah.
Just to capture maybe the latest status on where we're at right now with the pandemic. If you can bear with us just for.
Oh, okay. All right.
Ellen, can you share your screen?
Yep, sure. Joy, I'm going to take over the screen.
Okay.
We don't see anything yet, Ellen.
Okay.
There we go.
Do you see that? How's the side?
You could go a little bigger.
Okay, it's actually the largest that I can do right now.
Well, that's fine.
It's okay? All right. So what I'm showing here is the latest DOH. We just monitor all of the COVID, the data trends on the Department of Health COVID dashboard. So what you see here today is the latest numbers. The count, the daily count was 571 statewide. And for Oahu, you see right here, was 359. Normally on a Monday, the counts tend to be a little lower. Yesterday's count, if you remember, was close to 900. I think it was 893 or something like that. So as the board chair mentioned, it is astronomical, the trends that we're seeing here. Moving down to one of the other things that we take a look at is, sorry, my screen just disappeared. Sorry about that. The DOH has a mapping component where you can actually select by your county. So I'm just going to go to Oahu. And what you see here are by pretty much zip code, the cases for the last 14 days, and this is as of August 23, so that's as of today, and it shows by colors the cases, excuse me, the case count. So the green color that you see here is the highest, so it's like over 200. So it kind of gives you an idea that much of the island is experiencing very high case count for the past 14 days, which is not surprising. It has been in the news. Also, if you take a look at the percent positivity over 6, so it's pretty much the whole island. So it is fairly dire what the DOH data trends are showing. If I move over to the EPI curve, and it's short for the epidemic curve, and I'm going to pull it all the way back to March 2nd when this all started. And you can see significant, then in the areas where we're really worried, it was 200, and I think the highest was 310. This was September. And then we had the holiday season and saw a spike in January, which was really scaring us. But it's really nothing compared to what we're seeing now, as far as the case count. So positive thing that's happening is the vaccine is increasing, and let me go by county. So the percentage of the vaccination rate, which is what we're really encouraging, is increasing, and Oahu here, 64% of the total population completed. And let's see, we'll go to the map. Maybe that might be better. Here, Honolulu. Okay. Not sure why it's 51. All right, sorry. Oh, because I'm sorry, it doesn't include the federal doses. This does include the federal doses. So if I go to just Honolulu alone, 64% have gotten, are completely vaccinated. So they've gotten 2 doses of either the Moderna or Pfizer, or a single dose of the Johnson & Johnson. And 71% has at least initiated the first dose. And these are the total population. If you wanted to see of the population that are eligible for vaccination, 75% have completed and 84%. So at least the vaccination rate is looking very positive in that respect. Ernest, did you want to show anything else? That's all that I have.
No, I think that's helpful to see the snapshot in time where we're at. The epi curve is particularly concerning. I think the only thing probably reducing the number of deaths is the vaccine, but like what we're seeing, and it's what we see across the country too, is we still have a significant population that is unvaccinated. And with the extremely contagious Delta variant, the impact is very pronounced. But it doesn't mean that the vaccinated people can't get COVID. I think that anecdotally, we all of us, at least myself personally too, are aware of people that are fully vaccinated still getting the virus and having to isolate. And unfortunately, so far, they haven't ended up in the hospital requiring hospitalization or gone into the ICU, but it's something to be careful with. I think the conditions and parameters that we're experiencing today are actually quite different from last year. And it's very fortunate we had the vaccine, but the other aspects I think are the efficacy of the vaccine over time wanes. So the importance of the booster shots, I think, will become even more important as time goes on. But Chair, we just wanted to again lay some background.
Yeah, so thank you very much for sharing the statistics. I think that we are very appreciative of the seriousness of the situation. The reason why I wanted it to be on the agenda today is that the time, manner, and place of board meetings is within our purview as members, and I just wanted to make sure that the members had an opportunity to provide feedback. We do have, I believe, some alternatives. We can continue to have the policy in place that we have currently that was circulated by Manager Lau. I don't have an issue with that, but it was important to me to allow board member feedback, should there be any. If there's none, then that's okay too, but having the opportunity to provide feedback, I think is important. I think that this pandemic, at this point, it's been over a year. I don't think we can, it's not an emergency that we can't anticipate. I think we can only anticipate it getting worse. So the question is, do we want to continue this? There are some other options. We could get a bigger room or move the meeting to another city facility that might be up, and all within the applicable mandates, of course, both city and state mandates. But I just wanted to just throw it on the table. If there's no feedback, there's no feedback. But or if we're gonna keep it the same, keep it the same. But I wanted the members to know that there are other alternatives as well in case anybody really wanted to be part of, to go in person.
Thank you, Chair, and we look forward to the discussion with the board. Would you like us to put it on the agenda for next month when maybe more of the board members will be present?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we'll add it to the agenda next month. I'll try to remind myself. And if you, board members, if you notice in the room now, we only have myself and Joy here. What we're trying to do is to be able to allow more board members present.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to reduce the amount of staff that need to get in the room, be in the room. And we're also looking at possibly a larger room because this board room is, as you know, when you've been here in person, except not Alehu, did you ever come to a meeting in person?
I have. I've actually shot in the room for news before, and I'll stick my head in there when I was an employee many years ago.
Okay, so we're kind of looking for, within this campus, maybe a bigger space if more board members opted to be present. I think one of the options is our engineering conference room, which is much bigger than this room, and then try to keep the amount of staff in the room to the bare minimum. But be able to access the technologies and resources to conduct the board meeting in person and remotely, and also make it available for the public with live streaming.
Yep. So yeah, that was just an item for information, and just wanted to put it on the table.
Chair, may I make a comment? First of all, I just really wanted to thank the staff and everyone who's been involved in helping to make our meetings really accessible. BWS, I think, has really led the way as far as ensuring safe and public participation. I don't know what this says about me personally, but I attend a lot of state and county boards and commission meetings. And we have really, we were in some instances a year before other folks offering, the people the ability to be able to testify remotely, to testify in person, but in a safe way downstairs, socially distance outside. And so I just really wanted to recognize that and to mahalo all of the hard work that made that possible, because, and I'm not sure all of the people that I need to thank besides Ernie and Ray and those kind of folks who've just been really thinking outside of the box in order to enable to allow the business of the government to continue to go on in a way that's inclusive of the larger community who are really our ratepayers and the people who deserve to participate to the degree that they want to. So I wanted to put that out because I think, when a lot of people think of BWS, they think of our main breaks, and that may be one thing, but we're doing a lot of really great stuff. And so I really wanted to elevate and mahalo that. I also just wanted to share from my own perspective as a board member that I am happy to be online. I have 2 young children who are 5 and 7 and who are ineligible for vaccination. And so my family is being especially cautious, especially given the disparate impact on Native Hawaiians in particular. And so I'm happy to be on WebEx. And so I just want to say, I realize that we have a diversity of perspectives on the board, but for me personally, given the severity of the pandemic, how it's continuing to evolve, especially with the variants. Now we're talking about Delta, we're talking about Lambda, but who knows what else is going to come on in the future. I would appreciate continuing to have a remote option if that's a possibility. I do also want to, for the discussion at our next meeting, I would like to hear to the degree that the staff has any concerns or issues. I'm grateful for all of our frontline workers who are showing up and helping with the cameras and the agendas and everything else. But to the degree that folks there have concerns or feel like that we could do more to help them to feel better or feel safer, I would like to hear about that as well. So that's just my now.
Mahalo, thank you.
Thank you, Kapua. Anybody
Mr.
else?
Chair, a couple of comments as well.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and just following up with what Kapua had to say, I think it's really important for us to recognize and think about how each family's risk quotient is going to be a little bit different. And that has to do with just what people are comfortable with, whether or not they have small kids at home, and the like. And I, I've been working on the COVID POW campaign, carefully tracking a lot of this, and anecdotally, some of the things that we're coming across is just people's ability to be comfortable not only in these spaces, but also the fact that the dynamic environment in which is calling us to make real changes very quickly, depending on what some of the numbers are. But also staff and the BWS in general, with respect to how these meetings run, they run really, really well. I sit, just all day in these meetings, and not only the volume of information that goes by, but the way at which staff is prepared goes a long, long way to just help move things along. So thank you so much for being so prepared as we come into these meetings. And I think also too, we should think about the way in which people have had to pivot and just figure out how to do Zoom or WebEx or Microsoft Teams or any of these pieces of technology that allow us to connect. I think, the ability to make sure that there is public input is really important to me. And so the way in which, and we, typically don't get it, but I know that there may be topics that come up in the future where it may poke a nerve and people will show up. And I think the fact that the chair says, hey, even if you can give me a piece of paper today, we'll include it and in the testimony, and please call in. I think that's important because things are moving really quickly. And then I do think that this needs a larger discussion framed around the idea that whatever the next set of what we're calling normal is, it is going to be different than whatever it is we're doing now. And that as a really thoughtful set of folks trying to make sure that the water turns on every day and that, pipes are fixed in a timely manner, it is critical that we try to forecast ahead as much as possible to be able to engage each other, engage staff and the community to just keep doing the good work that the Board of Water Supply has been doing all these years. So, I think there's plenty of good technology out there. I think, problem solving to get a bigger room to be able to include might include more people that might be useful as well. But certainly we should just keep refining as we know that this is not even close to being over. And then the last part would be, as this number goes up higher and higher, it's really critical that we encourage as many of us as possible to stay home and not interact, because that's really the true way in which we're going to be able to curb this virus. So mahalo nui.
Mahalo.
All right. Any other feedback?
Chair, this is Jade. I'm on over 30 boards and commissions because by virtue of my position. So, it's nice to be able not to attend meetings in person. I really appreciate the flexibility. We're trying to, like many companies and organizations, we're trying to figure, this out because it's really, it's been very abnormal. And I know the new emergency proclamation, I think, gives us the option to hold online board meetings, until the new law goes into effect. So, but I really appreciate the ability to, do Zoom or Teams. We don't really, you don't know who's vaccinated and who's not. So I think, trying to, try to curb the spread of the virus is really key, right now.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Jade and the rest of the members here today.
May I offer one additional thing, Chair? Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
One thing I just wanted to put out there, and that may be helpful for a larger discussion with the full board, is what training opportunities might be available for our board members, or anyone really, not just our board members, but anyone who feels like they're not getting the most out of using their WebEx. I know for me last year, when we transitioned to all online teaching at the University of Hawaii and at the law school, it was a big ramp up. It totally changed the way I organized my syllabus and my courses and the way that I interact. But we had a lot of professional development support within the law school, and I think that helped us to up our game. And I feel like the way that we deliver our coursework now is better, and we're more efficient, and we can do the work that way. So what I'm asking is, to the degree, because I know there are some folks who like to be in person, or some folks who don't feel like they don't get the most out of remote meeting, what opportunities might BWS and our tech staff be able to do to help support everyone to fully participate remotely?
Excellent suggestion. Training on how to use this technology for the board. We can explore that.
Yes, please. Yeah, that is a great suggestion.
And Ernie, I would add, so not just training, but also even things like to the degree that people may need additional equipment that would make their experience better. It's amazing when you have AirPods and a ring light. You know, there are things that can make the whole you can hear well, you feel comfortable, that we have tech who will be able to support people remotely if they have questions or they're having challenges. I think that might be able to, that might improve people's experiences. So I just wanted to offer that.
That'd be great, Kapua and Na'alehu. If you have any suggestions on like a standard configuration of equipment, like the ring light, the cameras, microphone setup, and even like a good decent laptop makes a world of difference with versus a 10-year-old PC that you're trying to do this very resource intensive technology on your old computers. So if you have suggestions, we'd be very open to that.
Yeah, Ernie, I'd be happy to talk story. I mean, we've had to convert so many things that would have normally gone out and shot, or staff would have shot, that are now on Zoom. And so, you know, certainly in marrying together the technology, there's a list of not only equipment, but best practices that you can use to just have the whole experience be a little better, especially because these meetings are online and they're meant to, you know, have some confidence in the community that they have access. And so if you're backlit or they can't hear you, it just makes the whole thing kind of a little harder to digest. I'd be happy to discuss with staff if we want to, you know, just take some time to think about that. And I can also share like best practices that we use in the broadcast side, so that people know what to do, where the light comes from, where the audio should come from, you know, where the laptop is, looking up like this, or like that. Those kinds of things are all really important. We can help.
That'll be great. Thank you.
That's absolutely board member Anthony's wheelhouse. So yeah, what he says.
All right, thank you very much, board members, for the feedback and for offering your respective expertise. Very much appreciated. This is a discussion that I think needs to go on. But yeah, for me, it's more about the process, making sure that all of the board members are included in the decision, and making sure that nobody is left behind, regardless.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, so if there's no further discussion, we're going to move on to the next item for information. It's the status update of groundwater levels at all index stations. I believe Barry's not here today, so we have Nancy Matsumoto.
Yeah, she's the head of our hydrogeology branch.
Okay, thank you. Chair recognizes Ms. Matsumoto.
Thank you. Hello, Chair and Diane members. How
Joy,
is
can you
my volume? Is it,
bring up?
can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great.
Bring up our report, or that's it? Okay, she's controlling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for allowing me to fill in for Barry Usagawa, my division head. As Ernie said, I'm Nancy Matsumoto. I'm a geologist, and I manage the hydrology geology branch in the Water Resources Division. Before I begin discussing our item, Joy, could you please, instead of the letter, could you please share the attachment, which is the production head and rainfall report? Thank you. And could you please scroll to around page 4 of the attachment? So scroll down to the second page of the water level graphs. That's a nice sampling of some of our water level data. There you go. Thank you. All right, let's start with water levels. In terms of groundwater levels at our index stations, this past month, July, was similar to the preceding month of June. Most of the index stations showed very slight increases in water level on the order of about 1/10 of a foot. Now, this was expected given the below normal rainfall we've been experiencing and the associated small increases in production. I'll cover that shortly. As for our trigger levels for low groundwater conditions, which are associated with each of these index stations, as of July, we have the same situation we had in June. Kaimuki and Waialua are in caution status, and Punaluu is in alert status. So with that, let's move on to rainfall. Joy, could you please scroll down to the last page of the attachment? To the graph that's labeled Honolulu Watershed Area Rainfall Intake. There you go. Okay, thank you. Now, our rainfall data for July showed our rainfall at 69% of normal, with a 5-month moving average of 88%. We also checked the latest state drought monitor map, and that showed abnormally dry conditions across the entire island of Oahu. In addition to that, we had moderate drought conditions on the leeward side of the island, from Honolulu to roughly Haleiwa, and severe drought conditions along the leeward coast, from Pearl Harbor to Makaha. So we have a gradation of drought conditions across the island. And I'd like to add, just by way of background, that the state drought monitor map that we cite every month, well, that comes from the U.S. Drought Monitor website. And that's authored by NOAA and some related agencies, such as the USDA and the National Drought Mitigation Center. And it's headquartered at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. This collaboration has been around for over 20 years. And so these researchers compile and reconcile enormous sets of climate data every week, such as rainfall, stream flow, soil moisture, satellite imagery of vegetation conditions, and so forth. And they issue these updated state maps online every week for open reference. It's free. So this has been a great service, and it's relied upon by many different agencies besides us, and industries as well across the country. For example, the USDA uses this drought monitor information to trigger disaster declarations and eligibility for low-interest farming loans. With that, let's move on to the climate forecast. The National Weather Service has been forecasting below normal precipitation for this entire month of August, and that continues the trend we've seen since April. So we had 3 months, as you can see on this graph, we had 3 months of nice high rainfall, January through March, and then drier months since April. This below normal precipitation is likely to continue through November due to what we call ENSO neutral conditions, with the increasing probability of La Nina conditions by winter. So hopefully that means we'll have above normal rainfall this winter. Now, you may already be familiar with El Nino and La Nina concepts, but I'd like to very quickly recap them here. Generally speaking, El Nino conditions, which mean higher than average sea surface temperatures in the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean, well, they tend to bring decreased rainfall across the Hawaiian Islands. And conversely, La Nina conditions, which means lower than average sea surface temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific, those tend to bring increased rainfall. That being said, there's been some research in the last year or two by NOAA, UH, and other research universities, And they've looked at long-term historic data, and they're seeing that these correlations are starting to weaken, probably due to climate change. So in general, there's less predictability of weather patterns now, and it's unknown how any new correlations will settle into place over time. Okay, finally, let's cover our production. Joy, could you please scroll down to the last graph? That shows our monthly production. Thank you. The monthly production average for July was 150.86 million gallons per day. And this is slightly higher compared to the previous year and our 5-year monthly average, but overall it's been tracking pretty closely throughout the year. And the slight increase is probably in response to the lower than normal rainfall. So that's all I have for this agenda item. Thank you very much. And are there any questions?
Members, any questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you very much. Nancy, for the report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
All right, moving on to item number 4 for information. This is the water main repair report for July 2021. Chair recognizes Mr. Jason Nikaido.
Okay, good afternoon, Chair and Board members. This is the water main repair report for July of 2021. This last month, we had 28 main breaks, and that is the first month of the new fiscal year. It is about average in comparison to previous years. And the average duration that it took to repair these main breaks was approximately 12 to 16 hours. In addition, our leak detection team investigated 11 miles of pipeline and found 50 leaks, 42 of which were coupling leaks in the meter box. That concludes the report for July. Are there any questions?
Members, any questions? Hearing none. Jason, thank you very much for the report.
Thanks, Jason.
That brings us to our regular agenda. Before we move on, I'd like to ask Mr. Nordstrom, have there been any callers to testify?
Hi, Chair. No callers that have testified or that are on hold.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, we're ready to move into executive session. May I have a motion, please?
So move.
I second. Jade?
All right, moved by Vice Chair Sprode, seconded by Member Bukai. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. Let's take a short recess and then we'll adjourn into executive session.